hello to a very special mini Who Corners Corner podcast. It's Geoff here. I'm on my own today because I've come up to London to Television Centre to do something that I can't say any more about. I've got the approval for that, that's okay. And I'm not alone here today. I'm joined by Mr. Dewar from Character Options. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm very good. Well, mostly good. It's a wet and miserable day out there, but it's been very cheery in here.
It has been very cheery indeed. So let's assume that by the time this goes out, we'll be able to talk about things. So do you want to tell people a little bit about what we've been doing today?
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to do that, but so today we were filming a small video section with the delightful Joe Martin, who is everyone knows as the Fugitive Doctor.
Yeah.
And as everyone will, as you say, know by now, we have released or will be releasing a Fugitive Doctor figure set. And I couldn't think of anyone better to do, that sounds really bad, that's not how I was meant to sound, but I couldn't think of anyone better to do the camera work for me than Geoff. So, it was a hurried call.
Yes.
Thursday and Friday last
Yeah.
week. And then you very kindly literally dropped everything and came to help us out, which I'm very appreciative for. But I think we're both quite riding on a crest at the moment because we both got to meet Joe Martin, and she's never anything but delightful, and she was so enthusiastic about the product. So, and she did it out of the kindness of her heart. She wasn't getting paid or anything, so she literally just turned up as a request and basically said, "Here's the product," which and she likes it, which is the main thing. I don't care about anything else now. I'm just happy if she likes it. I'm happy.
You could tell she genuinely was kind of bowled over by it. The not just the quality of the figure, but the fact that it was her as a figure. You know,
and we changed that way that we've. I've sort of touched on it a couple of times with other people, but one of the problems we always had with the figures, whether you agree or not, but when you mould the plastic, you get a very crisp bit of detail, and then unfortunately what happens is in the factory they slap paint all over it. And that's the way we've been doing it for years. We did a little experiment probably about 12, 13 years ago now, where we tried to do the faces in plastic with decoration details added over the top. I suppose the nearest analogy would be a sort of Star Wars Black Series. It didn't quite work. The plastic was a bit translucent and a little bit shiny, and it all looked a bit waxy. But we've kind of gone back and refined that process. We started it with the B&M figures, with the Colin Baker figure, and then now we've done it with the Fugitive Doctor. And it's just stunning, the difference it makes to have that figure using just the moulded detail with a spray to make it matte and look good. But with the moulded detail and then the deco applied on top, you just really get a completely different feel for the figure. And I think that really showed. I mean, you said when I showed it to you, you went, "Oh my God."
It just you know, when people see the pictures, they'll probably notice it a bit, but I think it's not till you see it in hand and you'll see, you know, the effect that, you know, you're talking about. It just looks incredible, you know, and also just the whole detail, the hair and the shirt and everything, and the coat feel and stuff on it.
And it takes it sort of next level. And weirdly, I mean, that figure, the core of that figure is actually from another figure, and people will eventually figure it out.
Right? Yeah.
But there's a no pun intended. So we actually went back and used part of. It's a very small part, I must be honest, because there were so many physical changes. But the Donna Noble figure that we did many years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get a phone call, which is probably just interrupting, but I'll put that on silent. So it's great, and we've been working on this for about a year and a half, and the regeneration happened, which bumped the set back a little bit, and then I had the head moulded, and I really wasn't happy with the details on the head. There was a problem translating from the CAD to the moulded head, so I let them. I think I stopped at 5. I let them have 5 goes at redoing the head to the point where Ross and I were happy with it.
Right.
And then I literally just said, "No, that's it. You can't prove to me that this is actually going to be moldable and it's going to be good enough, and I'm not having our first Doctor of Colour coming out looking anything other than perfect. So I actually said, go back and remake the head. So we did. They went back to the original data. They found there was a problem. They remade the head from scratch, and then when we reproduced it the second time, there was a significant change in detail. And I've still got some of those early ones where the moulding just was gammy.
Interesting to see the side by side on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something we'd put out there, but I'd send your good self some pictures to see. But you'll notice a significant. It just wasn't right. It was just one of those things where you looked at it and just thought, it really ought to be better than this. But we didn't know at that point that there was this error in So we handle the sculpt file, the CAD file, is a very high data file. I mean, it's got huge amounts of polygon counts. It's a massive amount of information, and somewhere in the translation from that to what they tooled with, which is cutting the actual metal, the translation had lost a chunk of detail.
Right.
And it was weird things. It was like earlobes that weren't formed properly in the tip of the nose, and the eyes didn't look right. And there was a whole load of stuff, and it was just like, this just looks weird. And the factory, because by that time the tool had gone from the tool shop to the factory, and the tool shop shots weren't good, and then the factory shots weren't good. And I said, can you get the guys from the tool shop to go to the factory, and which they did, to actually get me some decent shots, and it just kept going on. I was like, just remake it. I'm not, you're not going to convince me. Just start again. So they did,
and I can see why it's your favourite figure that you've done.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I don't often say that about figures, but that figure is so nice. I mean, it's easily. Previous to that, it was probably the War Doctor, but I think this figure is going to knock people's socks off when they see it.
Being in that, the fan, community as well. I know when people see it, they'll be blown away by it, and the level of kind of anticipation for a figure of her is really high. And when we spoke on the podcast first, we said, will there ever be one? And we were talking when
you're talking about my blatant lie.
Yes, yeah. And all the things that and that you're working on that you can't tell. So it was quite a nice surprise to find out what was happening and how long it's been in the works for.
It was. I felt really bad blatantly lying, but I always said the same thing, and it was true to an extent. When I was lying my teeth off to you, obviously I was already seeing production shots and sort of having a look at them, but a lot of the B&M stuff in the last few years has started to leak out, and you can't really do much about that. There's folk in B&M and friends of friends, and they obviously like the kudos of being able to sneak stuff out, which is fine. But for our own CO exclusive stuff,
keeping it secret is
it's paramount to kind of keep it under wraps. So
when this chat goes out, people will know about it. But right now,
nobody
knows about it, and that's so exciting to think,
And it's one of those. It's weird. It's like you say. It's been bubbling under, and people are like, "Oh, there's a Fugitive Doctor," and then I'm like, "Nah, it's not finished. There's no way we're doing that. We're not doing it until we can do it properly." Well, we've done it properly.
Yeah, done it properly, and the TARDIS as well.
Yeah, the TARDIS has been changed as well, which I'm hoping people will notice. And it's little things, but the
lamp on the top is quite noticeably different to Joe's one, isn't it? And all the others actually as well.
And actually, we changed the whole roof because that era of TARDIS, it should have a slight slope to it, and for some reason on our tooling of the original flat roof TARDIS, it kind of almost collapsed down, so it looks really flat, like somebody's taken a bit of plywood and kind of scribed lines on it. So it always looked a bit rubbish. So that was completely remade and looks quite different, and it's got undercuts between the corner pillars. It's got an undercut which the proper TARDIS should have. So and things like white spray on the inside of the windows, and the big Easter egg that's in the box that nobody's clocked yet is on the packaging we actually include a cardboard insert which you can cut out. It's actually perforated, but you probably need to cut it out. and then you can fold it up and stick it inside, and you actually have her console.
Yes, that's what you showed me. Yeah.
So
yeah,
for the first time in a long time, we've got an insert that we can stick in.
Yes, because I've seen people make their own and print them to put in before, like for Jody's TARDIS and stuff. So yeah, that's a nice little extra. Yeah.
So and that TARDIS, just I love it. It's just the colour and everything.
Yeah,
it's just spot on.
It's great. It's like a really kind of futuristic version of the classic looking.
I realised, funnily enough, looking at it, when you look at it, it's a blue pack. It's a blue-black pack with a very dark blue TARDIS and a figure wearing blue and black.
It's
It's quite striking. But I think, what did you think of the pack?
I was going to say it's different to any of the others. You know, you've got the little sort of corner taken off and stuff, and the sort of the clear plastic over the two sides, isn't it?
Yeah, the window we put back in because it was a Seer exclusive, which I know the collectors want, and they kind of moan about it in the B&M stuff, but we just can't afford. I mean, it's packaging at the end of the day.
Well, that's the thing. You know, most people when they buy figures, they're taking them out and putting them on display. You know, I guess so. You know, like the B&M figures. You know, the package it looks great, but it's not kind of what you're getting it for, really. But
no,
you know, like with the Regeneration figure set, you know, that kind of folding front to it and stuff. Was fantastic. and that was we've tried to experiment a bit with. Weirdly, that set, the Fugitive set, ended up in exactly the spec packaging originally that the B&M TARDIS and figure set came in, and it didn't feel kind of it's
special
a bit
enough.
of a bigger kind of release and event, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. But sorry if I haven't said it already. Thank you so much for doing what you did today.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Yeah,
it was very much
really
appreciated.
Good.
And my original plan was to do it with an iPad, so I think you probably
we lifted it up a little bit. Yeah,
I think we elevated it from extreme amateurism to professional photography. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's been good.
And hopefully we can get to chat a bit more about this stuff. There's more stuff in the pipeline.
Well, yes, we'll get something sorted. Yeah, because I know you've got lots of things bubbling away. I've not been able to look at a phone today, have I?
No, there's certain things you can't get to see yet, but you will. You'll know
soon
about it
enough, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then we can do another chat.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Cool.
Thank you very much for today. It's been great. Thanks for joining me again, and we'll see you on the podcast again soon.
Cool. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Awesome.